Okay, so here is part 2. This is a hybrid build because it makes it easier for me to do it this way. What we got going here is this a piece of plexiglass, and what I did was I bent it to the door. I actually took the entire door assembly and laid it on there, and then physically heated it up and bent it to it in place. The reason I'm using plexiglass here is for one obvious reason. I can see through it while I'm building, because this is I have to build on the fly type structure. Like I said, you can see the factory radio. You can see how low it comes down and how far I have to push the radio down. Also, this radio has to be straight, but of course the dash is at an angle, and it's at a pretty good angle in terms of that. So also there's a bar right back here that runs across the car, so that actually is now becoming structural support. So back here I'll be putting a series of bolts through here, and then through using the back strap on the back side, I'll use that to attach to the top side of this piece of wood here to actually hold the radio in place. That way it's incredibly rigid on the back side. Here on the sides you can see that I've made a series of plates here, and this is so that I can run the screws through into the chassis from side to side, and that way the radio is held in place by bolts and incredibly rigid. Never have to worry about it falling down at all. There's a series of, right here I've got a little bit more filler I've got to do over in this corner. This here was probably originally a button that was for the door, for the light, is what that is. And the person who did the building on this thing, right now it's just this. So, my thought is that they tore it apart and stuff, and it's no longer a button like it's supposed to be, but that still goes in that area there. So but right now, like I said, this is right now I'm going through the hard parts of building this thing. It's been a joy building this thing. I put a couple of fillers on this side here, and there's one of the reasons one here is that I'm going to have to sink 2 screws here and here, because it's the only place that I have to bolt to. But because of the way this has to go in, and that's really what it comes down to. It has to go in this way, slides in. I don't know if I can get it out right at this moment, because it's in there right now. It's in there really rigid as it is, and so I really don't want to do this one-handed to do this, because I may just break this, because this leading edge here hooks at the top side, underneath the door. So it's like I said, really rigid. I've still got to cut out this area here for where the lock goes through. I've made a couple of areas where bolts are located at to give them a little space. Next thing to do is the radio mount. I'm going to have to increase this opening here to give us a better visual, and let me show you why. Let me grab the radio. So let me put this in. Of course, I'm doing this one-handed, so you're going to have to, guys, give me a bit of a break here. This is easy to do. So the radio goes in like this. All right. Let's do that. Let's take 2 on that one. All right, so the radio is going to end up, as you can see, really far back underneath. So for me to be able to visually see the top, you can see how much I have to cut off. Now this is one of the reasons why I built this with plexiglass in the face, because it allows me to see these things and get ready to modify and change as I go. Because like I said, this is a build on the fly. Build. While I'm doing this. So, but it's going to be, like I said, the radio is going to be super rigid in here, and I've still got to do some sort of USB mount. I'm not too sure exactly where I'm going to put that yet. Maybe over on this side. I might do it underneath, because I was thinking about this. If the guy closes the door on this, I have a mount for the USB in this area, on the like say right in this neighborhood or something like that. And the problem I'm going to run into is you won't be able to close the door. So what I may do is just simply make the dongle, which you see right there, mount it on the side of that wood structure, so that it has, so that it's down up underneath here, and that way we can just reach underneath the dash and then plug it in or something like that. Maybe I may go through the arduous task of trying to come up with some cool way of mounting this, and stuff. Maybe you guys have a better idea while I'm doing this. But anyway, I've actually got to get ready to go to work. So I've got to finish for now. I'll be back later tonight to finish this out, and also the rear piece. But as you can see,